In this video, I'm going to give you a comprehensive guide to growing your med spa or aesthetic practice in 2026. So listen, you likely have a graveyard of failed promotions, 149 for 20 units of Botox, 50% off filler, new patient specials left and right. You post about them, you boost these posts, and maybe you even run ads or you hired an agency, and you get a handful of price shoppers, a few no-shows, and a whole lot of white space on your calendar. And now the truth here is that the old playbook is broken. In 2026, relying on discounts and pretty graphics is the fastest way to become an invisible, unprofitable commodity in your local area. And so the market has absolutely shifted. For the last few years, I've been behind the scenes building marketing systems for fast growing med spas across the country. And I can tell you the ones that are winning aren't just running more ads, they're running a completely different play. It's a new model, and it's about attracting high value patients who choose you because they trust you specifically, not because you're the cheapest thing in the market. And I actually put together an entire guide that breaks this entire model down. It's called How to Grow Your Med Spa in 2026. It's completely free. It's the strategic blueprint for everything we're about to cover in this video. You can grab that guide at the first link in the description below. But let's get back into the video. Now, let's take a minute to think about how the market has changed. Think about how this industry worked just 5 to 10 years ago. If you were one of the first med spas in your area, all you really had to do was tell people about your treatments. You got patients simply because you were the only option. Then competition moved in, a clinic opens up down the street. So what did we start to do? Well, we started to run promotions. Discounts worked really great to drive volume of patients. But nowadays, there's a med spa on every single corner. Your competitor, they copy your exact Valentine's Day promotion, and then the clinic across town, they undercut you both by another 10%. Discounts on their own are no longer a strategy. They've commoditized your expertise and they've trained your patients to hunt for the lowest price, which creates a race to the bottom. In 2026, that model is dead. The new unfair advantage isn't your location or your discount, it's your personal brand. And when I say personal brand, I'm not talking about doing silly dances on TikTok or Instagram or finding trendy audios and making fun videos like that. I'm talking about building a platform of trust through educational video content. This is content that connects with strangers, answers their deepest questions, sets realistic expectations, and makes them feel like they know and trust your providers before they ever even book their consultation. So what is the new growth engine? How do you actually build this? It's not about just doing random acts of marketing or hiring an agency and outsourcing your marketing to another company and then calling it a day. It's about building a simple 3-part ecosystem. And this is the engine that will power your growth. So part 1 is education-based video ads. First, we need to get the right people's attention. And instead of just shouting about your sales, your ads need to teach and shift beliefs. So the most powerful format for this is simple talking head videos. This is where you, or maybe one of your providers, looks directly at the camera and they address a specific pain point or a specific fear as it relates to the treatment that you're advertising. It's a mini VSL, and VSL stands for video sales letter. You start with their problem, and then you present a new solution or a new belief about that treatment. For example, instead of an ad that says, hey, come get $10 a unit or $9 a unit Botox, you run a video ad with your lead injector saying something along the lines of, hey, you thinking about getting Botox, but you're terrified of looking frozen or unnatural? I completely get it. It's the number one fear that we typically hear. Let me show you the difference between the old school technique that causes that and the modern microdosing approach we use to keep you looking refreshed, not fake. Do you see the difference there? It's not an ad that sells Botox. It sells confidence in you and your process. It builds trust and it builds authority before they ever even click on the ad. In that way, you're not just another clinic. These are ads that attract high-value patients and not just price shoppers. Now, it's not enough to just run video ads and hope that you get the right patients, because part 2 is automated trust engine. So this is where 99% of med spas fail. A person clicks on your amazing video ad and then they get sent to a generic booking page where it says name, email, phone number, and then it's like, oh, there's only 3 spots left with a ton of urgency. It's an absolute waste. Instead of getting sent to a page like that, that click should send them to a dedicated landing page with a 1 to maybe even 5-minute video that goes deeper on the topic. It expands on the ad, it validates their concerns about the treatment, it explains your unique solution, and it then asks them to take whatever the next step might be, whether it's claiming a voucher, scheduling a consultation, so on and so forth. Once they give you their contact information, that's where the real work begins. This is your automated trust engine. For the next 14 days, they enter an email and text message sequence, but you're not just spamming them with a whole bunch of, hey, are you ready to book yet? There's only 3 spots left. You need to book now before the spots are gone. You're systematically dismantling every single objection that they might have by sending them even more valuable content. So let me show you an example of what that could look like. Let's say somebody sees your ad, they submit their information. On day 1, they get an email from you with a link to a video, and that video is titled, hey, meet our injector and her philosophy on natural looking results. Maybe we wait a couple days, and then on day 3, they get a text from you with a link to a blog post titled, hey, how much does Botox really cost? Here's a transparent guide. Day 5, they get another email from you. This time it's with a patient testimonial video, and it's talking about how nervous they were before they came in and got the treatment. And now they came in, they got their treatment, and the experience was incredible. And then day 8, so a couple of days later, you send them another video, and this one answers what's the difference between Botox, Dysport, and Xeomin, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can really build that out as long as you want. You are literally engineering trust. And this doesn't stop. If they don't book in those first 14 days, they continue to get value from you 2 to 3 times a week via email and text forever until they unsubscribe. You're staying top of mind, so when they're finally ready to move forward, you are the only logical choice and you're the only company that they think of rather than just finding the cheapest option in the market. Now, if we have the video ads and we have this nurture system, part 3 is about maximizing profit. And so acquiring a new patient is expensive. The real profit is in keeping them and increasing their lifetime value. So your ecosystem needs to have what's called a retention strategy. In our scenario, the retention strategy has 3 core components. First is quarterly reactivation campaigns. So at least 4 times a year, you should absolutely be running a targeted campaign to your existing patient database with an irresistible offer to get them back in the door. These are your most profitable marketing campaigns, period, because you don't have to pay to get that patient back in the door. It's basically free. And I can't tell you how many times med spas don't even think about doing this. Second is weekly value emails. So your past patients should be hearing from you 1 to 3 times a week with pure value, not just more promotions, but sending them content that educates them on new treatments, shifts their beliefs about aging, or makes them aware of some kind of new service that you offer. This keeps you top of mind, and it also defends you against the competitor down the street as soon as they launch some cheap promotion. And then third is systematic upsell and cross-sell paths. So you need to have a process. When a patient comes in for Botox, for example, what's the system to introduce them to your laser treatments? Or when they buy skincare products from you, what's the automated follow-up sequence to get them onto a subscription? Most clinics, they just leave this up to chance and they cross their fingers, but the top 1%, they build systems to increase patient value, which turns a $500 Botox patient into a $5,000 a year client. Now, I know this probably sounds like a lot of work, and whenever I explain this, I do tend to hear the same objections. Number 1, we tried ads before and they didn't work. Well, what kind of ads did you try? If you ran a discount-focused ad that led to a generic booking page, then of course it didn't work. You were pouring water into a leaky bucket. The issue isn't the ads, it's the lack of an ecosystem to capture and convert that attention. Number 2, I don't want to be on camera. Listen, I totally understand not wanting to be on camera, but your patients, they're not looking for some kind of Hollywood celebrity or some kind of YouTuber. They're just looking for a trusted expert. Authenticity beats production value every single day of the week. You don't need to have some kind of film crew follow you around. You just need a smartphone and a willingness to answer the questions your patients are already asking. And it doesn't even have to be you if you don't want it to be. It could be your lead injector, it could be your PA, whoever has the expertise or whoever does the consultations. Number 3, sales feels gross. Sales only feels gross when you're trying to convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do. When your marketing has done its job, the sales conversation is not a pitch. It's you and the patient mutually agreeing that you're the right solution for their problem. And in that way, all of the pressure disappears in the conversation. So how do you get started with this? What could your first 30 days look like? Well, here's a quick 30-day roadmap to building the foundation of this ecosystem. So in week 1, what you can do is brainstorm your content. So sit down with your team and list out the top 15 to 20 questions and objections that you typically get from patients about your most profitable treatment or whichever treatment you decide you want to advertise. What are they afraid of? What do they misunderstand? What expectations need to be set? What objections do we hear during the consultation? Now, week 2 is to film your first 3 videos. So take your top 3 questions from that list using just your smartphone, film your lead provider or whoever's going to be doing these videos, answering each of these questions in a simple 60 to 90 second video. Really don't overthink this too much. And then week 3, you can write your 5-part trust sequence. So write 5 simple emails. The first one welcomes them in. The next three, they each link out to one of the videos that you just filmed. And then the fifth one asks them to book a consultation. Now you have the core of your automated nurture engine. Week number 4, launch your first education ad. So take your best video or record another one and turn it into an ad. But instead of just sending them to your homepage of your website, send them to a simple landing page where they can watch your VSL, which is that video sales letter I mentioned earlier, which is a video anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes explaining the treatment in more depth and also answering more of their questions. Opt in to get more information. And then also from there, that'll trigger your new email sequence that we were just talking about. And that's really it. In 30 days, you'll have built a more sophisticated marketing system than 99% of the med spas in your market, and you'll be about like 70 to 80% of the way there. The way to grow your med spa in 2026 isn't by out discounting your competitors, it's by out teaching them. It's about building a brand that people trust, powered by an ecosystem that turns cold traffic into educated, high value patients who choose you for your expertise and not your price. If you keep relying on the old model of promotions and random posting, you're just going to get stuck in a brutal race to the bottom. But if you're ready to get off that hamster wheel and build a real defensible marketing asset for your med spa, then I put together a comprehensive free guide called How to Grow Your Med Spa in 2026. It goes even deeper on everything that we discussed today. So go ahead and click the first link in the description below. I'll send it to you immediately. It's the strategic blueprint you need to make 2026 your most profitable year yet. Thanks so much for watching.